Social media managers, do you ever feel like you're bouncing between platforms all day long, managing a million tabs just to keep your clients happy? Well, Constant Contact brings everything together. Email campaigns, social media scheduling, and so much more, all in one place. No more logging in and out and worrying about what's being posted where. It's all streamlined, so you can spend less time clicking and more time strategizing. Plus, their content suggestions give you the nudge in the right direction when you're juggling too much and can't think of what to post. Think of it as a little helping hand, not one that takes over, just ones that saves your sanity. Ready to make your life a little bit easier? Then check out constantcontact.com. This podcast is sponsored by Constant Contact. On the show today, we're diving into one of our favourite client communication tools and how you can use it as a freelancer too.
Welcome to JFDI with the Two Lauras, the weekly podcast where we talk about all sorts of things related to being a social media freelancer, from marketing to making money, finding clients to firing them. And today we're talking about a free tool that we use every single day, pretty much all day, that we believe all freelancers should be using with their clients in 2025. And we're sharing some tips on how it can make your life easy too. So, without further ado, what is that tool, Laura? Actually, do we need a drum roll here? Go on, what is it?
It's a tool that I reckon I use and access more than all social media platforms.
Same.
And more than Rightmove.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely use it more than social media platforms. Probably more than any other website, app, etc. on my phone, for sure.
Just to build it up a little bit more.
They're going to be like, oh, is it that? Go on. What is it?
Are we ready?
I'm ready. I mean, I know what it is, so I've always been ready. But yeah, I'm ready.
You were born ready.
I was born ready.
It's Slack.
Woohoo!
And this podcast is not sponsored by them, but it bloody well should be.
It really should be, yeah.
So if anyone knows anyone at Slack, just drop them a tag.
Yeah, totally.
Share this podcast.
Love it. So let's just dive in with why we love it first, shall we?
Why we love it? Well, why we've loved it when we very first started using it was it was completely free.
Yeah.
Which
is a free
which
tool.
is a bloody bonus.
Yeah.
Like we do pay for it now.
Yeah. But that's our choice. We don't need to pay for it. We could do it without.
To pay for it, yeah. But yeah, it's completely free, which is always going to be nice, isn't it?
100%.
And I guess the other reason why we love it, and I don't think people necessarily associate us with organisational tips.
Probably not, no. If they've been in my house, they definitely won't.
Same. Maybe that's a Laura thing. But it really helps us to be organised in, and obviously it is just Laura and I and Carrie, so it's not like we've got a huge team or millions of people, but it does help us focus our conversations and which makes it easy to find things.
Yeah, but we have had other people in and out of our Slack.
Oh yeah.
Over time. So like as we're recording today, actually we've also got the lovely Laura, our podcast editor, in our Slack.
Yes.
So it's not just the three of us.
Sorry, that's a lie. Sorry, Lauren.
We've had different people in and out all the time, which I think is brilliant.
Yeah. And the beauty of that is that you can invite people in, and we'll probably come on to this, but they don't necessarily have to see everything. So Laura and I have got our own chat, so channel in there. We've also got channels which are open, so anyone who was to come into our Slack could access that information. We've got channels that are just for the three of us. They're locked down, so we can just be really, really clear on where those conversations are happening. Because if you imagine, if you're chatting to a client on WhatsApp or an email, even if they're saying, oh, we could do this and this is an idea, and did you know this event's happening and that's happening and we're launching this new thing, and then you have to kind of just search back through one channel, and that on WhatsApp or email, and that can just make it a bit difficult.
I like Slack because you could literally have your clients in there in a private channel without you having to go and log into loads of different tools and without you having to, go and search for things. And you can do all sorts of things in there in terms of like lists and documents and automations and all sorts of things, which we'll come on to in a minute. But it's brilliant for how you can organize yourself and organize clients, and not just one, like multiple clients. You could, like Laura's just said about having, like, you can have channels that everyone could go in. You could literally have all of your clients in one channel chatting to each other if you wanted to have some sort of networking space, but you can equally have your communication private with them about what you're doing, which I think is just brilliant. So should we talk about then how you can use it with clients as a social media manager? Because I think there's so many opportunities. And I feel like freelancers don't necessarily look at Slack and think, oh, this is a tool for me, because their marketing doesn't really speak to freelancers. But it's such a perfect tool for freelancers. I just think, like, you're missing a trick if you're not using it.
Yeah, it's very much pitched as like a team communication tool.
Yeah.
Whereas obviously a freelancer on their own, they think, well, I don't need that because I don't have a team. I'm not a team.
Yeah.
Although it is brilliant if that's the route you want to go down and work with VAs, your bookkeeper, all of those people can be also put in this Slack as well. It's not just a benefit to you and your client.
I think it's brilliant if you've got people who you speak to all the time on email, like literally you email them every day or a couple of times a week. That's really annoying because your emails, like your inbox just gets full, and there's like sometimes you're in a thread, sometimes you're not in an email thread, and it's just annoying trying to find them. Whereas those people who you're communicating with all the time, if you had them in Slack, so much better.
Yeah, and if they work with other freelancers, they can get in there as well, so there's all that joined up kind of working. But I think so. One of the things we love is it's a great place, and for reasons that we've already said, to share all your files. So whether that be photos, PDF, links, anything, and then they're all in one place. Then you've not got some in WhatsApp, some in emails, some all over the place. So it helps you to contain all that information. And the beautiful thing about Slack is the threads element of it. So you can have your main chat going on, but if you then want to go off and have a certain conversation about one part of that conversation, you can go and create like a little thread just about that.
Just like you would in a Facebook group, if you're wondering what we mean by that. Like it's like a post that you would just reply to that specific thing.
Yeah. So if people aren't interested or aren't invested in that conversation, they don't need to be. So they're not going to be getting pinged left, right and centre. So it's a nice way to focus those conversations and keep it really specific and tidy.
Yeah. And also that way, like, so just as an example, let's say your client put a photo in there for you to share on social. You can have all of the communication about that photo in that one thread, so that 6 months' time when you want to use that photo again, but you cannot for the life of you remember what it was or what they said about it, you can go back and you can see what they've said related to it because everything's tied together. So it's just so much easier.
Yeah, because we all know what it's like when you find a photo that you haven't got a clue what it means.
Yeah.
When it was from, who was involved.
Yeah, totally. If you've got permission to even use it, yeah.
Yeah. So, and the one thing that I probably use the most is the searchable part of it. So you can search, and you can search for files, you can search for links, can't you? You can obviously do searching for the words you said, and it will also, if you've done a voice message, it will also be searching for if it was mentioned in the voice message. So having the searchable ability, the dream.
Yeah, we are searching for things all the time. Like I will always know I've asked Laura a question and I cannot remember the answer, and I will go and search for the question and I won't have to ask her again. Like there's so many things that we search for. We're like, I'm sure we spoke about this, and then we'll go and be able to search for it. Or I'm sure I put that in here, and we can just search for it. It's so easy.
And the worst thing about when you're with a client is when you say to them, you ask them a question and they go, oh, I've already told you this.
Yeah,
like, it just makes you look a bit like you're not on the ball. Whereas obviously if you can go and search back previous conversations, it makes it look like you're on your A game, even when you're on your D game.
Totally. And you just mentioned a minute ago about voice messaging. We love a voice message. Like I'm forever walking the dog, voice messaging Laura. Most of them start with, I've just listened to a podcast, and then she's like, oh, for God's sake.
I'm like, right, I'm going to have to listen to this when I'm sat down.
But we're constantly voice messaging each other. And the thing that I like about voice messaging in Slack versus anywhere else, literally any other platform, is that, like you've just said, those voice messages are searchable, but they're also transcribed. So Laura could be sending me a voice message. I might be sitting in the doctor's office. I just have to wait a couple of minutes. It's transcribed and I can read what she said and I don't have to like put it on speaker and listen to it. And, you know, so there's no delay in me responding to her. So it's brilliant. And so few platforms do that, which I think is great. So even if you've got a client who isn't somebody who voice messages you, they can still respond to a voice message, you know, just by reading what you've said or what have you, which I think is just brilliant. Also very accessible, obviously, if your clients, you know, need that sort of thing, which I think is great. So yeah, we use that all the time.
We do. And I'm not really a voice message person. So
no,
that speaks volumes.
Yeah, we're constantly voice messaging each other. So I'm surprised you said that. The other thing that is built in to Slack, which social media managers will love, is the built-in huddle option, which means that you don't have to pay for Zoom. You can get on a call with a client right inside of Slack without any time limits and without having to pay for Zoom, setting up a Zoom link, sending them a Zoom link, you know, all of that stuff. You can literally do it all in Slack. So as long as that person is in your Slack, you can start, they call it a huddle. It's basically like a Zoom call. You can start that inside Slack. It's so easy. And when you're in there and you're in that huddle, you have like the chat box thing, the threads thing, where you can leave, you know, you can leave messages and stuff. So you could be making notes about whatever it is you're talking about in Slack, and those threads will stay there, which is brilliant.
Yeah, we love a huddle.
We sound very excited about this. I really think we should apply for a job with them.
I know. Do they need their social media doing?
maybe.
And another feature that we both use actually, and both like, is they have lists and what they call a canvas. So a canvas is essentially what we use it. It's like a blank canvas. It's somewhere you can go and write some notes down. So often we'll be like, right, I think we should do this, especially when we're both busy. So we'll be like, right, we've had this idea. We'll go and then open a canvas and write down our ideas. Like, it's, I guess, a bit of brainstorming, isn't it? Just, this is how we use it. Obviously, it can be used for lots of different ways, but we put all our ideas in there. And obviously, if that thing is a goer, then obviously we then move it on to however we manage any of our projects. But it's a great way to have a communal chat more than just a chat.
It's more like a document, isn't it? It's not really a chat. It's like
that's
a document.
Good word.
Yeah.
So it's not got like the functionalities of like a Word document. It is literally like a blank canvas and you can just type in it. I don't think you can do anything more crazy.
I think you can use like formatting and stuff, like lists and, you know, bullet points and all of that stuff. Pictures. But nothing more than that as far as I know.
No.
But it's a really good tool.
And again, that's always in there. Then it's all together. If you can refer back to it, you don't have to go and find that doc in your Google Drive somewhere that you can't find anything in. It's all
Or if you
there.
like us, is it in my drive or your drive or our drive?
Yeah. And then there's also lists in there as well. So if you're working with a client, you can create a list of all the things that might need to be done, or so they're aware of stuff that they need to do or you need to do. And obviously you can just tick those off as you go. So that's a nice way to, again, organise your tasks. So it is a pretty amazing, really. I don't think I've ever really stopped to think about how good all this is, because it's changed a lot since we've used it. So we've been using it pretty much since probably 2019.
Yeah, maybe even before that. I can't really remember now. Yeah, a long time.
But it's changed a lot. And maybe we've just not really appreciated how much that you get now.
And we haven't even got into the really good stuff yet. Like all of that stuff is great. But what we're going to talk about next is like the icing on the cake, which like will really make your life easier, which is the automations. You can do so many amazing automations in Slack without needing to be techie. And you might be thinking, yeah, but I don't need automations. I'm just going to crack on with my life. Well, hang on a minute, because all of these things are literally going to save you time. You know, I will blow your mind when I go through these. So the first one I want to tell you about is that you can set up a workflow literally in Slack so that you don't need any other tools. So that, let's say every week or every month you need your client to tell you something. You need them to update you on their stock or availability of whatever it is that they, sell or what have you. Or they need to send you links or whatever they're doing or give you dates or whatever it is. Every single month you need that from them. Typically, people would have to rely on that client to tell them what that thing is. And then their client would inevitably forget. You'll be then, oh my God, I forgot to ask them. I better send them an email. And eventually you get the information you need. But in Slack, you don't have to do any of that. You can set up a workflow that sends a message at a specific time on a specific date every month or every week or whenever it is that you need it, asking them for that. And you can word it however you want, so it can sound exactly like you. It just says, hey, client, don't forget, I really need this information. Can you send it over by Monday? And they can literally reply back to that and send you that information. And you don't have to think any more about it. So you're taking that task off of your workload, handing it straight back to them, and they can get it done. It's just there's so many things that you could do with that. It's just brilliant. But you could also link it to other things to do tons of other different automations. So let's say that you onboard clients quite regularly, and you could set up a workflow that sends a client all the information that they need to know about how you use Slack, so that as soon as they join your channel, they get that. And you don't have to keep repeating yourself. You don't have to keep thinking, oh, I've got to tell them how to do this and I've got to tell them how to do that. You just set up this workflow once, they come in, ping, they've got this message that tells them everything they need to do. It's so simple.
Nice.
And if you are a bit more techie and you do want to do a few more things, you can integrate it with other tools. So like we use Airtable. So we are integrated with Airtable for loads of different things. And you could link it with Airtable if you were using Airtable maybe for like your reporting. So you could go and set up your reports in Airtable. You could set up an automation so that whenever that report hits a certain status, it automatically pings into Slack and says, here you go, here's your report. And you don't have to do anything more. And your client can go and look at it. There's so many different things. And it's not just for your clients. You can use it for yourself as well, for tons of things. So we use Slack to remind us to do things. We have got a bot in Slack that is called the Bossy Podcast bot. And every Tuesday morning, it pops in there and says, hey, don't forget to promote the podcast, because we are renowned for forgetting to tell you that the podcast exists. And it literally tells us to do that. Whenever our lovely podcast editor, Lauren, edits our podcast, we get a notification into our Slack saying, this podcast has been edited, go listen to it. And then we go listen to it and we'll tell her if it's approved or not. So it's like so many different things that we can do. We get a notification anytime somebody joins our email list or anytime somebody signs up to the toolkit. So if you've ever done either of those things, we will have had a notification in Slack telling us that you've done it, which is brilliant because we can then obviously go and celebrate. And when you're trying to grow your email list or when you're trying to sell things, just having that little ping is so motivational and reminds you that you're doing a good job. And it just setting up those things can really help you in your job just to keep you going. And equally, when you're not getting those pings because no one's joining your email list, it just reminds you that maybe you better go and promote your lead magnet because you're not getting those pings. Whereas normally you'd have to go and log into your email system, go and see, did anyone sign up this week? Oh, no, they didn't. Okay, next week I need to promote it. Whereas if everything's happening in real time, you're much more likely to do stuff and get things done. So I think it's brilliant for that.
It is. We also use it. We've integrated it with a tool that helps us get a snapshot of our Google Analytics. And you'd not mention this. You wouldn't mention the data one.
I forgot about it.
At the start of
every week. I mostly
week,
forgot about it on purpose because I don't know how to pronounce the name of it. So I'm passing that over to you.
I can't even remember the name of it. So we're not going to mention it.
Okay, so we're going to sound terrible. Daily something. Daily
Dalylytics. We'll find out and we can link it in the show notes. And he'll like that because he's really nice, isn't he, the bloke? It's only a small company and he's always really appreciative. So we will link to it and do go and check it out. But yeah, so for us, we've integrated, you can use it in other ways. Obviously, we use it with Slack, but I think you can have it emailed, etc. to you. But yeah, so at the start of every month, start of every week, we get just a snapshot of which we've kind of set up of the information we want to be told of what's happening on our website, like our most popular blogs, the traffic we're getting from certain platforms. So straight away we can kind of look at it and think, okay, this is going well, or this isn't going well, or God, where's that blog that was the most popular last week disappeared off of this week? It's those kind of things. It just helps us even a bit subconsciously be aware of kind of what's going on. And I guess it would alert us to if anything looked like dodgy or weird as well.
And I think you could do that so well with your clients. Like if your clients have got lots of products or blog content, right, and you're getting a report every week saying, you know, this blog is really popular or this product is really popular, like how brilliant is that for content ideas?
Yeah.
Immediately you know what to start talking about.
Well, you could even use Dailylytics, if that's the correct pronunciation, for all your clients' Google Analytics accounts. I'm guessing maybe ping. We'd have to check this because I don't actually know whether you can do this. But if you could, it would ping into their channel with their Google Analytics, and you can have set it that it's showing the traffic from the social media platform that you are managing.
That would be amazing.
Then you don't have to do any reporting.
Oh my God, that definitely needs to be a thing. Yes, I love that.
Okay, so if you are listening, Mr. Dailylytics man, that would be amazing.
Yeah, definitely. Another thing that we have a channel for that I would highly recommend is that we have a channel for all of your lovely comments, your feedback, any podcast reviews, all of that stuff. It all goes into a channel in our Slack, and it goes in there for a couple of reasons. Firstly, because it's easy. That's the easiest place for us to put it without having to go and organise our lives. So we put it in there, and then Carrie goes and organises it and puts it into Airtable and does all of that stuff for us. So we screenshot, put it into Slack. So that's like the benefit is that Carrie can then organise us. But secondly, because everything is then in Slack, anytime we're feeling a bit crappy and we're like, oh, everyone hates us, we can go and look in Slack.
Dramatic.
I know that was a bit dramatic. And like just go and scroll back through our happy channel, and it's like gives you a bit of a dopamine hit when you realise that actually what you are doing is worth doing because people love what you're doing.
Do we actually call it the happy channel? Because if we don't, we should.
We totally should.
Let's go do that.
Let's rename that after this.
Add that to the list.
So yeah, definitely do that.
Nice.
Yeah. So there's so many things that you can do with Slack. And do you know what? We love Slack so much that we've decided that we are going to use it to support our toolkit students in 2025. So we're going to have our toolkit students in there in like a dedicated space so that we can help you. We're going to have specific channels for specific things so that we can be much more organised in how we help you. So like channels for discussions, channels for any notifications and announcements that we need to tell you. So you don't have to go and look in loads of different places to find out all of that information.
Or rely on an algorithm to be shown that information.
Yeah, exactly. And you can also obviously chat with all the other social media managers who are going through the toolkit training at the same time as you. So, you know, bonus. But that's not all we're going to do with Slack. Because like you've probably gathered from this podcast that Laura and I are pretty passionate about Slack. Who even knew? And yeah, we love it. And we think that social media managers should be using it. So we're going to add a Slack training to the toolkit in 2025 to help you to use it for your clients. So you're going to see exactly how you can onboard a client, how you can use those automations, how you can do all the things that will make your life easier, their life easier. So you can use this tool and you'll be able to do it all with a free Slack account. So yeah, hopefully you'll be able to integrate that into your business pretty soon.
There we go. That's it. So this is our promotional podcast for the Slack, not paid in any way by Slack.
Yeah, they suck.
But we hope you found that useful, because I feel a little bit guilty that we've kind of used this for so long and then we've never really shared the wealth of it.
Yeah.
I think we've taken it for granted and I have guilt for that.
Yeah. Now you've said it, you've made me feel bad too. So thanks for that. Yeah. I really appreciate it.
Anytime.
You might be wondering how on earth you're going to get your hands on the Slack training and how you can get into that Slack channel. All you need to do is to get your name on the waiting list for the new toolkit, which is coming out in 2025. So go to the2lauras.com/toolkit. We'll put the link in the show notes as well. Put your name on the waiting list. We will let you know as soon as we open for the first cohort going through it. And also, if you want to have a look behind the waiting list to see all of those updates, you will get a link to go and do that as well once you join the waiting list, or you can just click the link that will be in the show notes as well. And that's where we're sharing all the other updates that we're making as we're making them.
Yeah, exciting. Come and be nosy.
Yeah. That's that then. We'll be back same time, same place next week.
We will indeed.
I did nearly say next year then, but it will be next week.
Anyone would have thought we're keen to get to the end of the year.
No.
All right, see you next week.
Toodles!
Bye.